Hey guys, and I am back for the much anticipated, totally kidding. Now a couple people asked about how to actually get accepted into a coding bootcamp, and I think that's a really great question because it's something that I put a lot of time, effort, and energy into to actually get accepted into the program. So the Flatiron school actually only accepts about 8% of candidates according to stats that I saw online. So it's highly competitive, and you kind of have to be on your A game to get in. So how the process works is that there's a 2-interview process. There's a cultural interview and there's a technical interview. So I'll talk first about the cultural interview. So once you're ready to apply for the Flatiron school, this sounds so like infomercial. Once you're ready to apply for the school or any boot camp, really, you would apply online. Let's start with the application process. So first off, there's an application process. There's an application online, and it's a fairly simple application. But the feedback that I've gotten from people, even after I applied, because this is something that I did not do, and this is something that obviously you should not do, is that a lot of people just kind of rush through the application and just don't, because there's a lot of open-ended questions, and people will just like throw information in there, a couple sentences. I had paragraphs. When they asked why I wanted to get into the school, why I would be the best candidate for this school, I included paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. Now, what's important to know is information that you're including when they ask you to tell them about yourself. You don't have to start from the day you were born talking about things irrelevant to coding. Cater your story to coding. Cater your story to computer science. For example, when asked, who am I? Tell me about yourself. I expressed how, obviously my name is Olivia. I moved to Colorado when I was 21 years old. That's where I fell into the tech industry, because Denver has become like a little tech hub. I started working in back-end operations, and then on and on and on. I'm just kind of cutting it straight to the chase. I moved back to Houston, started my own marketing firm, and from there I started building websites. And so with that, I realized that there were limitations with the website builders that I was using, so I started coding on my own, and I started coding on my own. I started to love it. So that's when I started the bootcamp pre-work, and here I am today. So that's just an example of cater your story to coding. You can't wake up one day and say, oh, I feel like coding. I want to start a whole career, surrounding coding. No, it really has to be something that you put a lot of thought into, and they have to see that, because they're not going to accept you if you're just like, oh, I just started, I had a desire to start coding tomorrow. A big thing is that they want to see is that you've already started coding by yourself. They want to see that you started to code by yourself, and that you started to love it, that you have a passion for it. Passion is going to be really key in conveying that passion. So letting them know, yeah, I've been coding already. I've already started to love it. I love the challenges of it. Let them know that this isn't a decision you just made overnight. And so, yeah, that's the application process. So you shoot your application in. I don't know, maybe like a week or so later, I got asked for a cultural interview, which is a video interview that you'll have. And mine was with the person that was actually on campus that handles, I guess, incoming students. So you log in, you have your cultural interview. What's really important to know is to convey how excited you are, how passionate you are, how you put a lot of thought into this. You'll see that that's a reoccurring theme. It's really important to let them know that you've done your research about the school even, and to throw those nuggets in there, like, yeah, I know that Flatiron School is X, Y, and Z. that's really going to be important. So showing how passionate you are, show how excited you are. Don't get on in the interview and say, yeah, my name's this, whatever. It's like, hi, I'm so excited to meet you. I'm so excited to be in this program. I've been coding for a while and I absolutely love it. You know, really convey how excited you are for the program, how passionate you are, how much time, effort, and energy you've already put into the process before even getting accepted into the program. I mean, you do that through the application and the amount of effort that's shown that you put through the application, because that's something I got a lot of compliments on, and I was even told that they wanted to share my application with other people just to show how it should be done. And then the second piece to that is what we're going to go into with the technical interview. Before I even applied to the Flatiron School, I did the entire bootcamp prep. That accomplishes a few things. It tells them that, hey, I'm willing to put in over 50 hours of work before even applying into this program. That lets them know how dedicated you are. That lets them know that you're willing to put the hard work in. That lets them know that you're going to be a good candidate for this really aggressive, immersive program. I took a few months to do all of the boot camp prep, so that when I applied, I could say I did all of this work before even being in the program. So of course I'm going to be a great candidate. It shows that you have aptitude to learn, and it also shows that you have the tenacity and the discipline to keep going, because they have the guarantee, the money back guarantee. They don't want to accept just any old person. They don't, they want to accept the right people. And what I absolutely love about Flatiron is that they are huge on culture. My cohort was lots of women, lots of people of color, women of color, and that's what they pride themselves on. That was a huge reason why I wanted to go to the Flatiron School, and I articulated that. But that came from research. That came from me understanding their mission statement and their why. So yeah, very important to do the boot camp prep before you even apply. And then there's the technical interview. So let's go ahead and talk about that. With the technical interview, you want to make sure that you've done obviously all of the pre-work. You understand what's going on. You understand coding. Use Code Academy as a jump off for other tools, in addition to what you already have access to with LearnCo. And really just know what you're doing, because not only are you showing your code, you're having to code on the spot. One really important piece of advice that I have is to learn how to talk about code. Because up until this point, if you're new to this, you probably never talked about code a day in your life. You probably talked about it in your head as you're working through the bootcamp prep, but you've never articulated strings, integers, interpolation, iteration, mapping, for each, whatever. You've probably never really said these words. Arrays, hashes. You really need to, what I did is, once I was ready, I knew that, I think it was the deli counter that the interview, that we did over the interview. So in advance, I did the deli counter, which is like one of the last labs in the bootcamp prep. So I had my interview, and I showed them my code. I talked about my code, but how I practiced that was in advance. I would talk about my code to myself, and I would record myself. So I put the voice recorder on my phone, and then I would just talk about what I did. I would say, here I'm setting the variable, here I'm doing this, I'm declaring it. From there, I'm incrementing with whatever, using all the right language. What's important to know, you can't say I did this thing, then I did that thing, then I took that thing, and then no, you actually have to use coding terms, and that's going to be new for you. So once you get to the point where you have finished all of your pre-work, take one of the labs, sit down and talk about it. Record yourself talking about it over and over and over and over until you feel so incredibly comfortable. Because once you're in that technical interview with an actual software engineer, you are going to need to be able to have that muscle memory to be able to pull that up out of you, because you're going to be very, very nervous. So once you explain your code, then they ask you to do something with it. They'll say, okay, now that you know your code looks great, whatever, if it does, and then they'll say, okay, now do this, increment this, or change this, or something, because they want to see that you actually understand what you've done, and that you actually understand what you've done, and that you could code on the spot, essentially. Now, what's important to know is that you don't have to be perfect in this interview. They just want to see that you know how to learn, and they'll give you hints. They'll help you. They want to see that. They don't expect you to be perfect. Obviously, you're not even in the program yet. But what's important to know is that they want to see, when they're giving you tips and advice to help you do this XYZ thing, that you're heeding to it, you're understanding it, you are actually trying, you're not giving up. What's so important to know, there's so many tips, but just don't stop talking. Don't stop talking. Don't stop talking. You know, at a certain point, you're going to want to stop to think. You're going to say, okay, let me think now. No. Say what you're thinking. If you get stuck, you say, okay, talk about what it is that you do know. That's a good tip. Sorry, I think my bra has been showing this whole time. That's a good tip. Talk about what it is that you do know. If you don't know, if you're stuck, right, just keep going back over. I know I got to declare the variable. I know I got to bring it in as an argument. I know I got to set the parameter. I know, you know, whatever. Say, I've done it. You know, talk about what you've done and what you know. Just start. Because one thing with coding, you can't really bullshit it. You just gotta know it. So just talk about what it is that you do know, so they understand that you do understand what's going on, even if you don't know how to do the task. And then they'll try and help you. But don't freak out if you aren't perfect. I was not perfect. I did not accomplish fully the thing that they asked me to do. But I just kept talking, and I kept saying how I had the ability to learn, and how I had learned so much already. And so you just keep going and going and going. After that, then about, I think a couple days later, I was told that I got into the program, which was one of the best feelings ever. My family brought cake, and we had champagne, and we celebrated. It was such a beautiful moment to know that all that hard work that I had put in, I mean, I probably put in over 70 hours just to get into this program, that it had paid off. So I think what's important to know is this. Yes, the Flatiron School or any coding boot camp can change your life. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's going to take a lot of hard work. This was the hardest thing I've done in my entire life. But the reward is you can go from making minimum wage, $0, to making really good money in 3 months in the program. If you put the time, energy, and effort into getting into this program, and it is a lot, I know it, because once you get into the program, you have 100 hours of additional pre-work to do before you even start. And yes, it is a requirement. And yes, you need to do that, because you will fall so behind if you don't. It's a lot. But once you get into the program and you go the hardest you've ever gone in your entire life for 3 months, you give it your every freaking thing, everything you have inside of you. After 3 months, you are financially set. I am buying my first home. Literally this week, I'm signing the contract on it, and it's being built. A brand new house. I got the car that I love. I am financially stable. I don't want for additional money. I am very comfortable. And I say that obviously not to brag, but to really just inspire you guys to put that hard work in. It will be worth it. Whatever energy you put out is what you get back in. If you put 100% in, you're gonna get 100% out. And that's all I got for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you ever have any questions. I have people that comment down below or that even message me on Instagram. Either way, I always try to respond, and I give good, thorough, long responses. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I just want to help the world and help everybody live out their best lives. Okay, love you guys. Bye.